You've probably noticed this pattern in yourself, even if you've never named it. You think a lot. You imagine a lot. You plan, research, prepare, and mentally rehearse a future version of your life that looks better than the one you're living now. And yet, somehow, nothing ever really begins. Weeks pass. Months pass. Sometimes years. And the most painful part isn't failure. It's that nothing ever gets tested at all. This is the psychology of people who never start. And it has nothing to do with laziness. People who never start are often the most intelligent in the room. They see possibilities others don't. They understand systems. They can imagine outcomes with incredible clarity. But that strength becomes a trap. Because imagination feels productive. Thinking feels safe. And as long as everything stays in your head, it stays perfect. The moment you start, reality shows up. Reality introduces friction, imperfection, feedback, judgment, and that's where the brain pulls the emergency brake. Every day follows the same invisible script. You wake up with intention. Today you'll begin. Today you'll take it seriously. But before action happens, you prepare. You gather information. You tweak the plan. You wait for the right mood. Then discomfort appears. A tight feeling in your chest. A subtle urge to delay. You check your phone. You distract yourself. You tell yourself you'll do it later, when you're more focused, more ready, more confident. Night comes. Guilt appears. You replay the day in your head. You promise tomorrow will be different. And that promise feels relieving. It gives you hope without requiring action. So the cycle continues. What's really happening here isn't procrastination. It's protection. Your brain is doing its job. It's trying to keep you safe. Starting something meaningful threatens your identity. As long as you don't start, you can believe you're capable of greatness. The idea of you is still intact. Untested. Untouched. Potential feels infinite when it's never challenged. This is why people who never start often cling tightly to their potential. Potential becomes a badge. I could do that if I wanted. I'd be great at that if I tried. But the moment you try, potential collapses into performance. And performance can be judged. Fear sits underneath all of this. Not fear of effort. Fear of exposure. Fear that if you try, you might discover your limits. Fear that the version of yourself in your head isn't as exceptional as you hoped. So the brain makes a deal with you. Stay still and you never have to find out. Perfectionism plays a major role here. It disguises fear as high standards. You tell yourself you're waiting because you want to do it right, because timing matters, because details matter. But perfectionism isn't about excellence. It's about avoiding vulnerability. If conditions are never perfect, you never have to start. And if you never start, you never fail. But here's the cost most people don't calculate. Inaction isn't neutral. It trains helplessness. Every day you don't start, you reinforce the belief that starting is dangerous. Your nervous system learns that avoidance brings relief. That relief feels good, but it quietly rewires you. Over time, starting feels heavier, scarier, more overwhelming than it ever was at the beginning. This is why people get stuck for years. Not because they can't start, but because they've practiced not starting thousands of times. Here's the turning point most people never reach. Discipline does not come before action. Confidence does not come before action. Clarity does not come before action. All of those things are consequences of movement, not prerequisites. Waiting to feel ready is like waiting to feel strong before lifting weights. The feeling comes after the effort, not before. Another hard truth. You are looking too far ahead. People who never start tend to live in the future. They try to solve the entire problem in their head before taking the first step. They imagine all the obstacles, all the risks, all the things that could go wrong. That future loading overwhelms the nervous system and triggers shutdown. The mind says, "This is too much," even though none of it is happening yet. The solution is almost insulting in its simplicity. Shrink the task until your fear has nothing to grab onto. Not smaller than feels reasonable. Smaller than feels respectable. Embarrassingly small. 2 minutes. 1 sentence. 1 action. Smallness bypasses fear. The brain doesn't panic when the task feels harmless. And once motion begins, something changes. Static friction breaks. Momentum takes over. The thing you dreaded for hours suddenly feels manageable after a few minutes of engagement. This is why starting is the hardest part. Not finishing. Not continuing. Starting. Environment matters more than motivation. If distraction is easy, starting is hard. If starting is easy, motivation becomes irrelevant. This isn't about willpower. It's about design. Put your phone in another room. Remove the apps. Create a physical ritual that signals action. Same place, same time, same cue. Your brain learns patterns faster than it responds to pep talks. Now comes the emotional peak, the part people avoid facing. Every promise you break to yourself costs something. It erodes self-trust. Over time, you stop believing your own intentions. You stop taking yourself seriously. And that quiet loss of self-respect hurts more than failure ever could. Failure stings, but it passes. Regret lingers. The pain of trying and falling short is sharp but brief. The pain of never trying is dull, heavy, and permanent. It shows up as restlessness, as envy, as the feeling that life is happening somewhere else. People who never start often confuse safety with peace. But safety without growth becomes suffocating. Deep down, you don't want comfort. You want aliveness. You want momentum. You want to respect yourself again. Here's the shift that changes everything. You are not your past behavior. Behavior is a pattern, not a personality. Patterns can be interrupted. And the fastest way to interrupt one is not through self-criticism, but through action paired with compassion. Shame makes starting harder. Forgiveness makes returning easier. And returning is what actually matters. You will hesitate again. You will avoid again. The difference is how quickly you come back. Resolution isn't dramatic. It's quiet. You stop identifying as someone who hasn't started yet, and start identifying as someone who shows up for 5 minutes no matter what. You stop trying to prove anything and start practicing being consistent. One task, one small action, one protected window of time. Same every day. No negotiation with your feelings. You don't ask, do I feel like it? You ask, what's the smallest version I can do right now? You don't need to transform your life today. You need to interrupt the pattern today. That's it. And now comes the ultimatum. You can keep living in preparation mode. Keep polishing the plan. Keep waiting for the version of yourself who never gets tired or scared. Or you can start badly today. 2 minutes. One step. One action. People who never start aren't incapable. They're stuck protecting an identity that no longer serves them. The moment you act, that identity loosens its grip. You already know what this is about. You already know the thing you've been avoiding. The only real question left is simple. Will today finally count? Or will it quietly become another tomorrow?